and Arbitrage. Here to give you just a few updates.
Yes, indeed. We're coming to you with kind of like an emergency episode, if you will. We got the news. I'm sure maybe you all are know about, but there is a war, an official war that popped off. I guess would have been night,
Mm-hmm.
late last night, and between Israel and Palestine. And this is a very important thing to know about as far as knowing about what's going on globally. What would you say about that as far as the importance of knowing what's going on globally?
So, for one, again, because we live in a global world, everything affects us.
Yes.
Hamas, the Palestinians, launched an attack on Israel
Yes.
and really on their civilians, right? I'm just going to give you, because it's also part of biblical prophecy.
Yeah.
But hi BK Crypto, hi Voice Crypto. So this happened about maybe like Voice Crypto, not first. That's funny.
And you know what they say here? I'm just reading from CNN.com, a very reputable source. Israel military, I guess they said 2,200 rockets were shot into Palestine from the Gaza Strip.
But that was their counterattack.
As a
So I was
counterattack.
just explaining that Hamas basically sneak attack Israel, because you guys got to remember it's the Sabbath. The Sabbath started yesterday evening, and it's going through. So they caught them unawares. That's one. Two, they really launched war against the civilians, which you're not really supposed to do. And they launched this a war, sea, air, and land, right? Because they had to get through the borders, the heavily guarded borders. And Israel was caught completely surprised. And then Israel's counterattack was 2,200 missiles. I said that right, 2,200 missiles.
Yeah.
Against Hamas. So what we're seeing now, for those of you who read your Bible, this is Daniel 9, right? This is the 70-year prophecy. And we're going to start to see some things kind of take place. How does that affect Americans right now today? Well, we are now involved in another war, right? Biden is already sitting down with the president. I never say his name right. Netanyahu. I never say his name right. Hi, Topcast. Yeah, we do have our own channel, but our own channel is pinned to this channel. So we don't really post on that channel outside of this channel, but it should be in the description box for you guys to catch the little bit of stuff we have on there. But he's already met with Netanyahu, right, this morning, keeping in mind that he said we are going to support you 100% in this war. Where's that money coming from? Everybody's pockets that are on here, right? We're also, thank you. I never say it right, Topcast. Netanyahu. Okay, so I said it right. Y'all be so on top of stuff in the chat. Thank you. I always say it wrong. Two, right? We're already engaged in a war with the Ukraine and Russia, which the dollars are paying for. This morning, Colonel, and he's not on here right now. He comes in as Bronx Don, but he's a colonel. He's a retired colonel of the United States Air Force, so we'd like to give him that respect. He sent us a video, and New York is experiencing a homelessness that we've never seen before. Why? Because the administration that everybody was told to vote for is allowing the migrants in and don't have a plan for them.
Yeah. And actually, you mentioned homelessness.
Yes.
It's a problem around the country.
Oh, yes.
I mean, everybody knows about Skid Row in L.A., but you go out to Kensington in Philadelphia. Oh, that's a bad place. Yeah. You see Portland's having a lot of problems with homelessness. Seattle, places like San Diego, San Francisco. It's all around the country, and even in smaller cities, St. Louis and Indianapolis, you have problems with homelessness, and the biggest people who are becoming homeless are women and children, and that's a problem. That's a problem because there's not enough shelters. There's not enough places for people to stay.
Resources for things that they need, like deodorant, sanitary napkins, food. So now the pocket's already really thin, and Simon's gonna get into that in a minute. I'm going to read in a minute. There goes the Colonel, Crazy Bronx Don. Howdy, howdy. I just told them, Colonel, about the video you sent us earlier with New York experiencing homelessness like never before. But with the Israel and Palestine war right now, that really just kicked off last evening, right at almost at the beginning of their Shabbat or Sabbath, as you guys know. We're still in a war with Ukraine and Russia, right? We're still supporting those things. I found it interesting that your president made it there this morning to meet with Netanyahu, but took 13 days to make it to Maui. I'm sorry, wasn't Maui part of the United States, or did I miss that in social studies class and geography class? So, Voice Crypto just wrote, we sent $6 billion to Iran and they're chanting death to America, and you really can't make this stuff up. We got tent cities filled with migrants in Chicago now. Yeah, Chicago's hit hard with the migrants too, like New York is, right? Because they sent them that way. They sent them from down south up north, but also up in the Midwest to Chicago. So I'm sure Chicago is probably having the same budgeting crisis that New York is experiencing, because you didn't have a plan for them. You didn't send any type of federal funding for them. However, I can only speak for New York. I can't speak for Chicago. But in New York, they were paying people extra. If you took a migrant in your home, they would pay the rent for the migrant to you. Right? But people haven't been getting that money that they've been promised.
Right.
So you've been housing people, feeding people, with the hopes and the promises of receiving this extra money that hasn't been dispensed yet, hasn't been allocated yet. I'm not really sure what's going on with that, but it almost feels like, and I'm going to word this very carefully, the only way to reset the United States is to destroy it from the inside. That's how it feels. Just watching the behavior of what's going on, the money going to everybody but the citizens of the United States. So we are funding all of these different things as taxpaying citizens, but are not experiencing any of the benefits of it. That money is going out to everybody else. So it's kind of like living in a house and the homeowners are taking care of all of the neighbors, all of the people in the neighborhood, but not taking care of the house itself. Eventually, the house is going to get foreclosed on. The people in the house are going to starve. Nobody's going to have any clothes. Like, it's messy.
Yeah,
so,
it's real, and it's messy because also when you talk about all the money going out, we just read the article this morning. It says United States $33 trillion deficit is larger than the National Defense Fund. So that's bad. That's bad because, you know, I believe the United States military is as small as it's ever been in many years, right?
As far as retention and manpower. But I think, right, if you're asking, I think that they have traded off some of the actual manpower for technology.
I believe that.
Right, that's a salary you don't have to pay. That's a life insurance you don't have to worry about. Clothing allowance, cost of living allowances over the course of that soldier, that airman, that Marines, right? So I feel like it's just a bit more automated, and the number is bigger because of the technology that they've traded out for human manpower, if you're asking.
Yes, indeed.
This is a good way to probably transition into some of the deposit flight.
Oh yeah, there's a big deposit flight out of big three, right? Chase, Wells Fargo, and
Bank of America.
Bank of America. So there's a large deposit flight, and you got to wonder where that money's going, because BRICS is still, BRICS is still working to usurp that dollar, and they have to pay or settle their transactions, and so you have to keep your eye on that. You have to keep your eye on where the big money's going. The money is going. And if you kept your eye on the dollar chart, you see it was up this week. It's up almost what? Was it up almost 10%?
I thought that's what they
10%, something like that. And so it's up over against the Mexican peso is the way we measure it. You can measure it the other way as they do against other currencies, but it's up 18.06 from 17.04.
Right.
So that's a large move as far as
they're propping
foreign currency is going, yeah, they're propping it up because they're seeing all this money flight. Like, seeing the money leave, seeing the money come out the bank.
And did I tell you the feds are thinking about doing one more Fed hike before the end of December?
Yeah, and you gotta be careful with your banking, right? Could you tell them the story about the woman with the tax? Who got the tax refund?
Part of the problem with this is, so I'm gonna tell you how the story, but part of the problem is the bank that she's using, right? She's using, it's called Green Dot, and she received $68,000 in back taxes, her and her husband, from the IRS, right? And she was using Green Dot. And for those of you who are not familiar with Green Dot is one of those like internet banks. So there's no branch for you to walk into with your ID and this and that and that and the third. So because she had that large amount of money in her Green Dot account, obviously she's going to be withdrawing large sums of money. And what they wanted to do was withdraw all of the money and close the account. I guess Green Dot got hit to that because when she got down to $48,000, they locked her account. And despite all of the documents that they were asking her to verify her identification, they still won't unlock or unfreeze her account. So she's struggling with that.
And when that comes to, and I'm not, people are unbanked, right?
Yeah, they are.
People are unbanked, and this is why you have to go to banks like Green Dot, Ally. There's a few other ones. The big three are hard. Sometimes they're hard to get into if
you've messed up in the past.
If you messed up an account in the past. A lot of people, they like local credit unions. Local credit unions.
But when that credit union fails, you're in trouble.
You're in trouble. But you are FDIC.
Insured, yeah, you are. But still, even with the FDIC insurance, that is a process. They don't get to recover their stuff right away. Yeah. And when that's your paycheck and people live paycheck to paycheck, that can be problematic.
For our veterans on here, you had your credit union from your base.
And Navy Federal Credit Union for all veterans.
I had the Air Force Federal Credit Union for a long time after I got out. But it just, I closed it because, like she said, I can't just walk into a branch. I mean, I live in another state and stuff, So, we closed that thing out. But those are good. Those are solid. They won't fail. But yeah, that's an interesting story that they just locked her money up, and now she has to verify who she is.
But she did. But because it's an internet bank, I don't know how good their customer support is. You know what I mean? Can you get a human being? I'm gonna tell you guys, like Cash App's customer support are in other countries, and other countries don't have access to Cash App. So very often you will call Cash App for customer support, and they don't understand the features. They don't understand how it works. They got to put you on hold. And it's really of no help when the customer support doesn't even understand the function or have access to the function of the technology to begin with. So I'm not really sure.
We just called Cash App last week, and
it was a mess, y'all.
The guy was in Colombia, and
he did his best, right? And we figured it out after the fact, but I'm talking to somebody, we don't have Cash App, we don't know how this works. So when something goes wrong, we don't know how to troubleshoot it. But back to the deposit flight, right? So we're now involved in two wars, right? The money's going there, right? We have the migrant situation. They say that the money's going there, but the everyday person who was trying to help with the migrant situation isn't receiving that money. So we don't know where that money is going, but I'm sure it's getting allocated somewhere. Then we had you said 33 trillion in deposit flight?
No, 33 trillion debt.
Oh, the debt? Okay.
Yeah, the debt. That is more than the National Defense Fund.
That's more than the National Defense Fund. And then I think you did bring up deposit flight as well, didn't you? That were leaving the U.S. banks?
Yeah.
How much? Do you remember how much it was?
It was.
We can look it up.
You guys fact check me on this, but I believe it was 260 billion.
And that's in just this week, or
in the last year? In
the last year. So.
And they say banks around of those big three. I think they said 4,400 banks, and it'll be cutting down to 2,100 over the next year.
So now this is looking like a house of cards made out of loose leaf paper. Right? We don't know how much longer this house can stand. And that's why one of my speculations is it's almost as if you want to collapse it from the inside. Like, that's how it looks. right? And that's not even accounting for the amount of money we don't know is being allocated for things we don't know. But like I said, I found it interesting that the president met with Netanyahu first thing this morning when that skirmish happened last night, but it took him 13 days to meet with the people of Maui. 2,000 of those people are children that are missing, right? That's not important. Nobody cares about that. There's no manpower being allocated for that, no funds being allocated for that. So we are footing the bill for everything and everyone, but we're not seeing any of those funds that we've paid into coming back to benefit us as a people.
No, we haven't. And once again, fact check me because I didn't look this up, but I forget. But they say that Social Security will end in about 2032. 2032. Somewhere around there.
On or about.
And you see all the money going out when you could keep that money here so the Social Security can continue, because a lot of people rely on Social Security. They don't really have retirement set up that can take them.
And it's not enough.
Yeah, it's not enough. And you get that Social Security check added with your retirement, and you could get, as they say, to end of life. But without that Social Security check, man, it's going to be tough. Now they're going to have to do something, otherwise the homeless would just run rampant.
But it is already running rampant. It's already out of control, and they don't seem to care. Like, that's not on their agenda. And I'm sure that we are probably blind to a lot of their motives to why they do the things they do.
Yes.
One of the other things that I wanted to mention, and it just kind of left me. So I was looking at an article, and we already know that Detroit, Michigan really got sucked dry when all of the factories and stuff left, right? Whether they went out of business or they went to other places. We already know that Detroit really got hammered. So what they are planning to do, and there's no cement in this plans, is they want to raise a fourth of Detroit. They didn't say what for, but they did want to concentrate the citizens into one part of the city, which sounds to me like a smart city. So these are the things we're also want to just kind of keep an eye on, because again, the smart city requires a significant amount of funding to get going with sustainable housing, sustainable water. We seem to have the money for it, and you guys talk to me in the chat. I've been noticing that in the United States, and we're not there, but I've been noticing that they are swapping out regular street lights, which there's nothing wrong with them, for these, they almost look like black lights, right? It gives like a purple glow at night. It's not even bright enough to see where you're going, and nobody's saying what the purpose of those street lights are. That requires funding as well. That's federal funding, right? Because you're doing it across states and stuff. And they're not telling you, one, nobody can see with this dark purple light. That's one. Two, we know that it's emitting, it's transmitting and emitting certain frequencies and gathering information. But what kind of information? Is it cell phone information? Are you trying to figure out where people are and what they're doing? So I'm noticing that money is allocated for their agenda items, but they're not for the people anymore. Right? Where people are spending time voting at, high levels for representatives to represent them, and you're not being represented. When this is the news of the day, you're saying, okay, I got to reach into my pocket and pay these taxes so that everybody else in the world can live great. What's going on here? And a lot of, like we said before, a lot of people are talking about they've made more money than they've ever made before. And they're struggling like never before. This is the most they've ever made, and they're struggling. So these are things we really want to keep an eye on. I thought you had a third thing.
Well, I was going to circle back around because we always get back to our Bitcoin and our stacking, our coins and our silver. And one of the things that I like to talk about is, as far as this, is sometimes people will get kind of tunnel vision, right? And so, most of the things they read about or do has something to do with that Bitcoin and or stacking. But what we like to also say is you want to have a great view of what's going on all around the world. A great macro economist is his name is Raoul Pal, and he will always tell you that you need to be aware of what's going on in the world so you can see what kind of moves to make, right? You watch the business cycle and you watch what's going on around the world, and you can overlay that and see where you should be, where you should have your money, what you should be investing in, right? This gives you, I mean, you know, we're talking about 20, 25-year view. So you might not get that, what you want right now, right? So you might not get that, like Bitcoin, everybody wants Bitcoin, 250,000, all that. But take a 25-year view, and then you might see where it can go to 250,000 with the overlay of what's going on in the world. Another great macro economist, is Lynn Alden. She's wonderful. She's wonderful, very knowledgeable, and she sends out a newsletter free of charge every 6 weeks, and it is very, very detailed. So Lynn Alden, it's comprehensive. It takes a while to go through and see what's going on with it, but she's great to follow. So that's the thing, you know, with your money, see what's going on in the world, see where people are moving their money. You see the dollar flight, okay, maybe your dollar should have a flight. You know, the money that you have available, maybe you need to move it somewhere else. And so that's all, you know, I want to tell you about, just looking at what's going on in the world on a daily basis too. On a daily basis. Yes.
But just keep an eye on some of those things. We're not gonna keep you a Saturday. Y'all should be enjoying each other and your families and stuff. But we're gonna try to keep you updated with the events as they occur. Again, I don't have any information on what happened at that World Economic Forum Summit.
Yeah.
And that has my spidey senses going nuts, y'all. But we're gonna keep an eye on the war. Yes, I did.
Okay.
We're gonna keep an eye on the war with Israel now, right? So I was telling you guys to start looking at the war in Ukraine and Russia. Now we got to keep our eye on the war between Israel and Palestine. Before we go, I do want to say this: things are getting more chaotic. Things are going to start to take a quick downturn. And for those of you who kind of feel the call, you kind of want to turn your life back over to God or whatever, and you don't know where to start or what to do, y'all reach out to us, right? It's confidential. We won't tell anybody or anything like that. We won't discuss it on the show. But if you just wanted to kind of like, I want to turn my life back over to God and I don't really know how to do it or where to start, I want to get baptized, I don't know what to do, y'all reach out to us. Things are going to get way worse before they get better. And even when things start to get better, it's going to be with a very sinister twist, right? Because they're going to dress everything up as convenience. They're going to dress it up for your safety. Yeah. But you know, when the enemy talk about peace, he's coming with war. So we really, happy Sabbath, Chappelle House. Yes, our urgency level did just click up, Colonel. Because we are watching, and like I said, the House of the United States is really being dismantled from the inside out. Like, watch it. How would none of that money already doesn't really exist, right? They're already just like numbers that the feds and the Treasury just kind of made up. The debt is crushing, yet we still have money for everybody else but the people inside the house. And that has me leery in trying to figure out what is the actual motivation, if not for a purposeful collapse.
Yeah, and a lot of lies being told. Tell them who did the United States say they had more gold in?
Oh, the Colonel sent us. No, did the Colonel send us that video? Yeah, I think the Colonel sent us that. So the Colonel, Crazy Bronstein, sent us a video this morning, and the gentleman speaking the video said that the United States stated that we have more gold than anybody in the world. When was the last time you heard the United States mention the word Fort Knox? I just want y'all to sit and think. The last time you heard the word Fort Knox, there's nothing in there, right? There's absolutely nothing in there.
Spider webs, cobwebs.
Okay, and there's a video, if you guys can find it on the internet. Huntley's not on here today. When Huntley see this video, he gonna laugh because I know he gonna fact check it for me, right? There's a video on the internet where I can't remember who it was, but they went into there and they come out and said, yep, everything's all good. And you knew that was a lie from the pit of hell, y'all. It was a lie, a lie, a lie. There's nothing left. Now, I'm going to say this because I'm watching this. With the World Economic Forum, and I took you guys down the historical lane with the relationship between the United States and Great Britain. Great Britain does have under their management investment company 61 trillion in assets.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm looking to see, is that why the United States doesn't seem to panic when money is an issue?
Okay.
Is it because you have access to the 61 trillion that our parent, right? We're still colonized by Great Britain. I don't know why anybody thought different, right? Every president has to go meet the queen and now the king and so on and so forth. So I'm just looking to see what's going on, because to me it looks like they're going to implode it from the inside. They're going to dismantle it from the inside in order to force the United States citizens to capitulate to smart city living, and we are the solution to the problems that you guys have as citizens. Universal basic income, sustainable development goals, reducing carbon footprints, right? You will not own anything and will be happy. And the only way for them to do that is to really just bankrupt the entire nation.
And you got to understand, and I went over this before, but we'll get into it just real quick.
Mm-hmm.
They're not targeting people like us, our age range up, a little bit below. They're targeting the young people. And that's how they're thinking, generations ahead. Now, think about this. And we all been there. When you were young, you grew up, you lived in a room. You went off to college or whatever, you went to the military, you just lived in a dorm room. You lived in like a dorm room also in the military. So young people, as they come up,
Used to that,
will be used to it.
living.
So then if they have to just live in a little smart city room, it's nothing different than what they're used to. And they're used to not having much. When you had your dorm room, you didn't have much. You had a few things. And people are having that minimalist kind of lifestyle now. They got the electronics, they got some clothes maybe, they got some sneakers, and that's it.
But let's take that up a notch.
Mm-hmm.
Look at the enmity between men and women.
Oh, yeah.
Right? And if there's enmity between men and women, and that enmity is between the Black community, because we are still pumping out kids like crazy, right? Whereas other communities are dying faster than they're being born, right? So there's enmity between man and woman, because if a man gets with a woman, there's now a family. Noticing how people are glamorizing being single, how life is so much easier being single. I don't have to deal with what you got going on when I'm single. I'm independent. I can do this. I can do that. I can do the third. But they're promoting it heavy for people to remain single. Whereas
conversely, you got the MGTOW.
The MGTOW, your men go their own way.
So, you got two groups. You're talking about the enmity. Two groups who are going to go their own way.
So there's no reproduction, right? And then on the other hand, you have in first world nations, you have the LGBTQ. You don't have to worry about reproduction on that end. They're typically going to be single. Even if they want to be married, there is no third or fourth or fifth person coming from a result of that marriage, right? Yes, they can adopt, but we're getting to the point where the children are missing so fast, there is no one to adopt. Like, that's how bad it's been getting.
Mm-hmm.
So we're watching the different agendas because, like I said, this big, huge, gigantic granite ball, it's hard to push and get going. And at first it's going to get going real slow, just inch by inch. But once that big, gigantic, heavy ball of granite gets going, it is literally going to crush anyone that comes in its way. And you're already seeing the developments of it.
Mm-hmm. You are seeing the development. And, I don't want to jump from topic to topic, but this stuff is important.
Well, it all rolls in together.
I mean, you still got to look at the ability to move out of this country. Well, I'm sorry, of the United States. The ability to have flags planted. And the colonel asked me to do a more comprehensive one, and I'll get to that one because it has changed from the previous flag show that I did. But having things outside of this country where you can go, where you might have to go live and things like that. People get in their head that the United States is the whole world, but it's a very small part of the world, right?
But you are going, like I said, with everything that you are trying to achieve comes with sacrifice. And what the United States did is it programmed people to depend on convenience, to depend on things being easy, to depend on lots and lots and lots of choices. When you leave the airspace of the United States, these other countries don't operate like that. You're not gonna have a whole aisle of barbecue sauce. You got 3 barbecue sauces, and that's it.
Yeah, jazz it up.
Right, and that's just the food portion. Even with
Yeah.
glasses and stuff, yeah, they'll have this and that and the third. Some eyeglass companies don't even have designer glasses. You just have to pick the frame that looks the nicest on you, right? So the United States is used to being able to get anything they want at their fingertips almost that day or the next, right? When we order something from Amazon, it takes like 2, 3, sometimes we forget about it and then it show up at our door. So you have to understand that in order to flee to something better, it's gonna come with some type of sacrifice that you absolutely have to get your skin, get your flesh to be used to.
Yeah. You gotta get your hands dirty sometimes now.
There are no Newports here if you guys smoke, right?
For the people like here, they don't have HVAC.
No.
So sometimes it gets chilly.
I got a heater
And if
on
you
right
got
now.
if you have a fireplace, you gotta go split your own wood.
Yeah.
You want some wood in your fireplace, you gotta split it.
Your own wood.
And it's not as easy as you look. So on TV, you think it, but it's not as
It's
easy.
a lot of work.
It's a lot of work, and you're not used to it. You get blisters on your hands, and you had to put in some work to heat the home.
And the houses are concrete, so when it's hot, you hot, and it's a fan. Right? There's no air conditioner. It's a fan. Now in the city they have all of that stuff, right? But you're densely populated with a bunch of people. And when balls get rolling and the city wants to take control of its citizens, you're now stuck in control with their citizens, right? You got to do whatever the city say do. If they say put those masks back on, you better do it. When you live more rurally and you don't have those conveniences, you do have a lot more freedom, but that freedom comes with a lot more responsibility that you just have to the trade-off to me is worth it.
Yeah. And you can go on YouTube and see videos of people who are off the grid living, and you'll get a ton will populate, and you can just see what they have to do, things they got to do, the way they have to get their water. Now we get our water gets delivered in water truck. So, but some people got to go down to the water plant and get their water and bring it back up to their house. So a lot of work when you get off the grid, but you got clean, fresh air, all this stuff, and we're not just caping for Mexico. It's a lot of places, do your research, do your due diligence, and you might find a spot like, yo, I like that spot. Let me check it out. See what it's about, see how the people treat you and things like that.
The other thing is travel is not that easy when you move out, right? So typically when we travel back to the United States, we have to drive an hour and a half, which usually turns into a 2.5-hour drive because of traffic to Mexico City for me just to get back to Florida, right? Because there is an airport 40 minutes away, but that plane's going to take you to Mexico City anyway. So it's the same thing. I might as well just start at one airport and do that instead of having to change and transfer and go through this and go through that. So travel is not as easy. If we go for a ride here, it's just like there's not a lot of variety in going for a ride, but the ride is absolutely scenic because of all of the mountains and stuff like that. Two, here in Mexico, you don't want to travel the highways too much because sometimes the highways are run by the cartel or overrun by the cartel. So there's safety involved. It's not like the United States, right? So when you decide to pick up and go to another country, just understand that it is coming with a lot of inconvenience, but that inconvenience is worth a little bit more freedom.
Yeah, a lot of freedom, I think, but so that's why we got to keep all these things in mind, as you see the United States crumbling, as she says, from the inside.
From the inside.
So, and do it now. Do it now. Like people always say, yeah, I'll get to it. Do it now. Get started today. Start looking into places. You go in any country and say, living in this country, and it'll be a YouTube vlogger in that country, and you can see things, how it is, the food, the nightlife, if you're into stuff like that. You can see all this stuff. There's vloggers all over. I mean, if you want to go What's my man's name? The dude Indigo Traveler.
Oh yeah, you should watch those. Y'all should watch that.
Yeah, Indigo Traveler. He's great. He goes all over the world.
But he goes to places that people. He goes to places that people typically don't go to.
Yeah,
like he went to Iran.
Yeah, he sure
We watched Papua New Guinea. Didn't he go to Papua New Guinea?
Yeah, he went to a bad, like the bush. Is that what you call it?
Yeah, he was in Haiti.
Yeah, Jamaica.
He went to the bush in Jamaica.
Yeah.
So he goes to places that typically people don't travel to. I mean, we're not saying move to any of the places that he goes to, but it's good for you to watch and just have an idea on how other people live. Simon homeschools the boys, and he makes them watch, because school can be boring to small children. He makes them watch. It's called The Most Dangerous Ways to School.
Yeah.
The Most dangerous. Is it on Netflix?
No, I just get on YouTube.
Oh, on YouTube, The Most Dangerous Ways to School. You have to see how these children have to travel far to learn. Yeah. Right? When we have supercomputers in our pockets, on our desks, in order to get the information we need so that we can be vigilant, so we can be wise and move strategically, and just appreciate the wisdom that other people impart on us. Yeah, right.
The way they show it is these children have to go through so much to get to school that they value the information.
They value that,
more than people like us with a supercomputer who can just pull it out and boom and go to Google.
And
so somebody has said that Dr. Jordan Peterson mentioned that the United States, he called it the Western world, we don't value information like the world. And that's why you see people come over here and take these high-end jobs. You see somebody in Silicon Valley, and they take high-end jobs, right? Somebody from India, somebody from,
because they got that hunger in them to not live the way they've been living. Also, the Colonel just said, no one's talking about the stuff we're talking about. We don't get paid for this content, y'all. This content is free. We're not YouTubers. We're not, worrying about, is this going to affect our views? We are diligent in watching some of the content that we give out, because we don't want the gentlemen of crypto to get their page taken down. But a lot of people don't talk about the things we talk about because it doesn't sell.
Yeah, it doesn't sell.
It doesn't sell. So, or they'll get demonetized. They'll play it, but you get demonetized because you talked about it. And they'll tell you that they get demonetized before their pages and stuff get taken down. But the content we give you guys is absolutely free. We do not get paid. We don't get any type of revenue. The amount of time that we spend learning the things we were going to do anyway. Right? Because we have our own sons who are going to be men. 2 of them are already men. 2 of them are still small children. But, Simon felt heavy on his heart that we also give this information to other people who may not know where to look for it, just may not be aware of it. Algorithms are locked with other content and stuff like that. And he just felt like it was important that if we know something that can help us make a strategic move, that we should share it with other people where that move may be strategic for them. It may be life-changing for them. So y'all thank Simon, because this is really his baby, to be honest.
And for those people out there with children, impart this knowledge on them as well, because they're going to be the ones who are going to live in this
weird, wonky
dystopian world, the smart cities and all that stuff. So, my youngest is 6, I guess. So he's going to be the one that's going to be living in this world 15, 20 years from now. So impart this knowledge on your children as well, and have them prepared for the things to come, because it's coming. It's coming. We don't know when. No one knows what time.
But it's falling apart relatively quickly. Yeah. So we want to keep our eye on that. It's Saturday. It is the Shabbat. Happy Sabbath, y'all. Yeah. Like I said before, if some of you are like, hey, I've been thinking about, changing my life and really giving it back to the Lord or whatever, y'all just reach out to us. And we're more than happy to help you walk in the right direction so that you can help somebody walk in the right direction. We can daisy chain it like that. But outside of that, we're going to get back to researching, y'all, because we do want to see the developments of the Israel-Palestine war, because Daniel 9 states that the man of perdition, the Antichrist, is going to come up with the solution and get them to come to peace. So I'm definitely looking at this from a biblical standpoint to see how this is going to develop. But if there's ways you guys can watch your money, right? Buy less or shop in a different way, something in order to just keep a bit of cash on the sidelines, this is the time to do it.
Yes.
It says y'all need to start doing the crazy thumbnails to get mass attention. Good info on your program. Oh, thank you. The Colonel said, I figured it out. You, Aaron, baked the cookies for Neo, and Gordon was in the back room watching the children. It's a Matrix.
Oh, yeah.
So, but we're going to keep you guys abreast on what's going on, and, you know, just kind of like really start. Oh, don't forget, this is the beginning of flu season. We told you guys, for those of you who haven't been on, the cold medicine that has the decongestant in it, right? It's the active decongestant in it. They're going to be pulling them off the shelves because they want to force you into your doctor's offices. Try to go get those things, right? Even if you don't need them right now, there's nothing wrong. It's always good to keep that medication in the house just in case somebody does get sick. You want to make sure you wash your hands, you wash your face when you're out in the world, touching stuff, doing stuff. Don't keep your doors open. I know we like to get fresh air from outside, but they're spraying the skies. We showed you, we talked to you about spraying the neighborhoods. They're doing a lot of nefarious things, and we don't necessarily know why. So you want to do things like get, is it a humidifier or a dehumidifier? I think it's a humidifier because a dehumidifier takes the moisture out the air. So you may want to get maybe humidifiers and stuff. Get that Vicks. Y'all know that Vicks works. Get that Vicks for the flu season. Start shopping differently. Start getting a lot of non-perishable goods, putting them away.
Yes.
Extra water. Like you should buy a pack of water every time you go. I know it's going to sound crazy, but every time you go to the store, you should buy a pack of water and put it somewhere where you can have it just in case the electricity goes out for a long period of time. If a wildfire shows up somewhere in the state or the city that you live in, if some type of crisis or catastrophe comes, you're not caught unaware, you're not caught sleeping. And like I said, let's start shopping differently. Maybe not giving Amazon so much of the money, right?
Yeah, Amazon. Yeah, Amazon's a killer.
It's a killer.
It's a killer.
But you know, start clipping those coupons again, those digital coupons. Start couponing again.
We over here killing the coupons, ain't
Yeah, we use our coupons all the time. So, you know, couponing again, maybe joining subscription clubs, anything that's like, okay, I see that over the course of the time I save $25. And while it may not seem like a lot because $25 doesn't go far, if you do that more than enough times, that 25 over that 25 over that 10 over that 5, it adds up and you're like, oh my God, I saved over $1,000.
And you know me, you know how I do it. You save that $25, I just flip around and buy an ounce of silver.
Right.
Bang. You just, and you know, that adds up. So one more thing I want to say to my military people out here, and or anybody, you know, you get on Amazon, you can get the bug out bags for sure, but you could get what was the things called? I can't think of them now.
What, baby?
The things you eat.
The MREs?
Yeah, you get MREs on Amazon.
Oh, you can get meals ready to eat.
Yeah,
for the civilians.
So you pack up some MREs and stuff and be ready for this thing. Be
and
ready
they're not
for
bad.
anything.
They weren't bad back then, but I know they're much better now.
Oh, I'm sure they are.
Right, the MREs. We used to have Kool-Aid and hours and hot sauce and stuff. It wasn't that bad.
It wasn't that bad.
But that's it. We're gonna leave y'all, and we love y'all. Voice Crypto said extreme couponers looking like geniuses right now. Yes, they are.
Yeah, they are.
The Colonel said, Gordon, I'm still working on the info for the retired fire. Oh, thank you for the phone-related diseases. Whatever you have, go ahead and send it to us.
Oh yeah, that phone. Yeah, because I used to work with that Class A phone and Class B phone. Yeah. A lot in training and a lot at fires. So
whatever information you have, Colonel, we appreciate. But yeah, y'all get those digital coupons, join those subscription clubs. Even Amazon honestly has these subscription clubs, and it tells you how much money you save. And just bench that against maybe your local supermarket. Maybe you guys got to shop at Aldi's, right? People used to be like, I'm not shopping at Aldi's.
Yeah.
Shop at Aldi's. And save a little bit of that money. Put that quarter in that cart and stop being cheap.
I used to shop at Aldi's.
Yeah, we used to shop at. And that was when Aldi's didn't really have much, but now
Nah,
they
it
have a
had
lot
none.
more because they're competing with Kroger's and Publix and
Yeah, it's just
all of those
about
other
it.
name
It
brand.
ain't nothing, man.
But whatever money you can have on the sideline, I read it already.
These two?
Yes.
Oh man, I can't see.
Whatever money you guys can have on the sideline, you're definitely gonna want to hold on to that. But we love you guys, and
Yes,
we'll see
indeed.
you in the next live stream. Y'all have a great Saturday.